I think we live. Oh, what? How'd I do that? Oh. I think we live. Let me make sure y'all can hear me. Lit, 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 lit. Sorry if y'all can hear my keyboard. It's mad loud. Mm. Mm. Sorry for the hold up, y'all. Just doing quick thing, but thank you all for joining. Hopefully my mic sounds good. There's no echo, and the video is rendering properly. Making sure everything's good. All right. Welcome, guys. Welcome back to this stream. Thank you all for joining. If you haven't tuned into the last few streams, what we're doing here is building a Tic-Tac-Toe project using React.js. I'm going to answer I'm sorry, I'm usually bad with these names. Ralaskin said, do you need to master vanilla JS to work with JavaScript? That's a good question. I think that so React.js uses a version of JavaScript called JSX, which is almost exactly JavaScript, but there's some different kind of elements with it that allows it to kind of work with HTML and stuff. I would say no, but you can learn JavaScript at the same time while you're learning React.js. It's not exactly a completely different language from JavaScript, but it's very, very similar. So I would say, I don't think you ever need to master a language to start working with a library or a framework, because you can learn it on the way as you're learning how to use the library. You can learn how to. Hopefully that answers your question. Vinayak P says hi. How you doing? Thanks for joining the stream. Stick Studios, what's up? Hey, glad you found the stream. Thanks for being here. So yeah, as I was saying before, if you guys haven't tuned in before, we're just building a small project here, and we're going to just go through like all the steps with. Right now, we're just following the tutorial from the React.js website, which is React.js is. Oh, Stick Studios just asked. I thought React.js was a framework. In a way, it's actually a library, which is weird because like AngularJS is another kind of JavaScript tool, but it's a framework because a framework kind of like does a lot out of the box for you. Like AngularJS kind of provides you with a whole lot to set up, and you have to work within AngularJS to work with stuff. But React.js is a library, meaning that you have tools that are given to you, but you don't have to like, I don't know how to say it, like on the top level, in a high level description, React.js just gives you stuff to use, but AngularJS kind of is the foundation on which you build your project. So React.js is a lot more lightweight. There's a lot less to it compared to AngularJS. So, but I mean, they're both pretty much like, you could think of them as just different things to get your project going, different things to import. That is like that. I mean, you can consider it a framework, but it's really more of like a library of different kinds of tools that allows you to use it. Stick Studio, Kinklu, thanks for joining the stream. You said, well, React is a framework, but like really advanced. Yeah, like the actual definition, like if I go here, a framework is like a bit more of a, like, so here it says React is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. And if I'm just gonna search up AngularJS, hopefully you guys can see the screen and everything. It's a framework because I'm not like amazing at explaining this, but like a framework kind of like has a whole lot more of a foundation and boilerplate setup. Stick Studio said JavaScript has a function called eval. That way you don't need to make a bunch of functions for basic arithmetic. By the way, when you get to parsing. Oh yeah, there is an eval function that like allows you to, I've never used it myself, but I know it's like a way to like execute code written as is. Like let's eval.js. Other functions have this eval too. It evaluates like code represented as a string. So if you were to eval like 2 plus 2, it's gonna execute that as if this is code. And 2 plus 2 just is the math function. Ralaskin says, thanks, bro. I hope I'm saying your name right. Ralzikin. Thanks, bro. Yes, it answered my question. Great to see another brother doing good, and especially in the IT community. I didn't see the other parts, but I will watch it later to practice with React.js. Thank you for tuning in, and I do appreciate that. This is probably going to be the last like episode in this series of building the Tic-Tac-Toe game. I'm probably just going to, I'm going to compile all the different streams together. It's probably like 3 to 4 hours worth of content working on this game. And I'll just focus on the highlights and basically summarizing the progress that we made on this game. But it'll just be a quick summary of everything going on. Just so you like, because I know like the stream, the last few streams, it's kind of been not only me working on a project, but me just talking about life, about YouTube. And there's just a whole bunch of like different kinds of things. Because I'm also learning how to stream too as this project is going. So there's like a bit of technical difficulties, my mic turning off, my camera running out of battery. So like just in general, I'm just, I want to make sure that I get this all together so that you guys don't have to suffer through all of my streaming woes. But I really thank y'all for getting in here. I guess it is a good time to get started. But feel free, as always with the other streams, to stop me with any questions, ask me what we're doing, ask me like, why are we doing this instead of that? And liking the stream helps a bunch, sharing it with people. And yeah, definitely, this is meant to be like a shared project. And if you look on the description of both this stream and all the other ones, I have posted the GitHub link. And every time after we're done with the project, we're saving it onto GitHub so that you guys can actually see the code progress. And if you want to like see the project and maybe you want to add something and make a pull request, you're by all means, you are able to do that. So again, look on the Discord. Look at the description of this stream and all the other ones, and you'll see the GitHub link in the repository, which is public. So you should be able to see the code that we're talking about here today. So last time we left off, we got up to finishing kind of the core part of the game. I'm gonna do npm start. That's a npm is a, I don't even know what to call it, but npm is a plugin I guess that it's part of Node.js, and Node.js is essentially server-side JavaScript that allows you to kind of just create an instance of a React app that you can use to view on a website. This isn't like plugged into the internet. This is just on my local host, but it allows you to quickly create apps, especially interactive ones. Stick Studios just asked, have you heard of Trello? It lets you manage your projects easier. It's funny, I actually do have a Trello board for a bunch of different projects I've worked on, including the basketball app, the basketball RPG app that I was working on, and the Apples and Asteroids. Yeah, Trello is definitely, you said NPM is a project manager? Yeah, I said plugin tool project. Yeah, no, but you're right though. NPM is a project manager tool. And NPM allows you to, with a bunch of different commands, and one of them is to start up an instance of a node server. Oh, you said no, that's a node server. I see. We're gonna look at what we've done so far. So we have this game, and here, if I click on one of these squares, I can put the X, and then the next player's turn is O, and then you can just go on and on here. So we've created a game that allows us to play tic-tac-toe. And the next step of the tutorial here, now that we've kind of got the game, like the core function of the game done with using React, the next step is to add in a functionality that allows us to go back in turn. Like if we want to reverse a move and go backwards, let me see. So we got up to here. Now we have to declare a winner here. All right, so before we do that, going back, we can do this function that allows us to just print or like display when someone has won the game. So now when we show what player's turn is next, we should also show when the game is won and there are no more turns to make. Copy this helper function and paste it at the end of the file. So before we copy and paste it, I'm gonna go through and try to break down what is happening here. Ken said the React JS logo is like the blue Mangekyo shark. Yo, I thought the same thing too. Isn't that like, or not the Mangekyo? Isn't it like the Eternal one looks like this? Like the Eternal Mangekyo, like kind of like looks like this kind of function. It's yeah, it's actually kind of wild. ngrok lets you run local tunnels so that you can view a node server outside of your client, by the way. Oh, I've never run ngrok. That's pretty cool. I didn't know that. That's lit. Let's go back to this page, and you see here we represent the board with these three arrays. Wait, let me go back to how it's shown. So right now in our board component, we represent the state of the board with with an array of 9 indices, and they all start off as null. So as the game goes on, whenever we make a different move, whatever square we choose, we fill the array with that symbol, either an X or an O. And that way we can just keep the state of the board in our board component, and also remember that if we get 3 in a row, either horizontally, vertically, or diagonally, that means that the game is over. So here, if we go back to this function, we can see here that we're going to be keeping track of all the win states. So 0, 1, 2 is here, this first row, and likewise 3, 4, 5, and 6, 7, 8 are these bottom rows. But also like vertically, 0, 3, and 6 is going to be 0, 3. Sorry, let me move this closer. 0, 3, and 6 is a vertical 3 in a row. So yeah, so we're just gonna keep track of all the possible ways we can win. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is, once we keep track of all the lines, you can make a better variable name here. I think a variable that like represents what actually these lines are, like the winning lines, or like victory, I don't know. Like I think you can make a much more descriptive variable for this. So here, when we want to calculate the winner, we're going to check through all of our different win conditions. We're going to see if squares and squares A equals squares B and squares A equals squares C. Okay, this is a weird way of, this is not what I thought it was going to look like. But it looks like what you're doing here is this is a weird, I kind of don't like the way that they're doing this here in the tutorial. It's like, it's hard to, I think like in general, when you're making a function, you always want, or you're writing code, you always want it to be kind of obvious or at least understandable when someone else is looking at it. Because I think like what's happening here is we're checking to see if squares A exist, like if it's filled in, and basically we're just checking to see if square A equals all of these. We're trying to see if what we have currently on the board matches one of these. And in a way, they're saving time by just saying if A equals B and if A equals C. But I think we can do that in a much more descriptive way. But what this function is doing is saying that if you win, you return square A. If this symbol is 3 in a row in one of these, we're just gonna return this symbol as the winner. Stick Studios just said, why don't we have it where 0 represents nothing, 1 represents X, and 2 represents O in a matrix instead of creating multiple dictionaries? Okay, that's a good question. So these aren't multiple dictionaries. These are just, this is just an array. This board that represents the state of the game, this is just an array filled with null at the start. And these here let me go back to these are also just arrays. There aren't any dictionaries. So squares A is just the index here. We're just checking if the index at this point, A is either gonna be a number from 0 to 8. And we're just checking if the symbol at this place is the same as the symbols all across any of these. I think this isn't like the best way to do it just because it's kind of hard to tell like what's going on here. But let's copy and paste it, and I think a good thing to do here is to try to edit the code to make it a little more descriptive. So here it says we're going to copy and paste this at the end of our board file. So our board component, if you guys haven't seen it before, the React works in terms of thinking about your project in terms of components. So we have 3 components in this project. We have the square component, which represents the actual individual square where we put an X or an O. We have the board component, which is gonna keep the state of all of our squares. And if you see here in the render function in our board, we're rendering these squares here. We're rendering 9 squares in total, and these are 9 square components. And you can see this here. This is calling the actual square component that's defined down here. And then our game component is also doing the same thing, rendering our board right here. And React works that way of like separating your project into building blocks so that, let me just see if my camera is bugging. Let me just, React works that way by just separating your project into building blocks that you can work on independently. Stick Studio said, I'm talking like instead of saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, we can create a matrix similar to a vertex count. For example, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0, 0. Yeah, you're right. I agree. You can do it like that, but I think it would make it like easier kind of to understand it if it was like a 3x3 array that you're creating. But at the same time, like even though like that could work, a simpler way just in terms of being able to work with the data and access different things is just an array, because a 2x2 or a 3x3 array is still an array. So you might as well just have it be a single dimensional array so that as long as you keep track of every index and you know that some indexes are on a different row than others, then it's a lot easier to think of them as an array. which is why, like, this is a small aside that when you're thinking of trying to implement something like a what's it called, like a binary tree, instead of creating like a custom data structure to represent a tree with different nodes, you can actually represent it as an array. So sometimes it's a lot easier to represent things in simpler data structures. I hope that answered your question or addressed what you were saying. Let's go back to our board and let's copy and paste the function. We're gonna put it right under this render square. Function. Oh, actually, this is gonna be not part of our board component. This is gonna be a function separate from that. So that's why it's gonna go all the way at the bottom. And I calculate winner here, and these are all the win conditions for our game. This is like for horizontal wins, for vertical wins, and for diagonal 3 symbols in a row. So what we're doing here is we're checking to see, we're setting all these variables to be equal to lines. I'm gonna call this a different thing. I'm just gonna call it victory lines. I think that could be a much better, call it victory lines, and we're gonna see. Because I think lines is just not too descriptive. Like if someone's just looking on this at 1 second, like it'll take them a while to figure out like, hey, what does lines mean? And we're looking for a winner, so it's best to have it as victory lines. So here we're checking if squares A, this means this line right here is a statement on its own. We're checking to see if squares A exist, meaning that is it not null? Because when the game starts, all the values in the squares, in every square on the board is null. So we're gonna check here, do we have a symbol here? And does this symbol, does square at this line equal this line? And the square at this line equal this line, which is basically saying for all of these lines, do we have 3 in a row? Do we have 3 in a row here? This isn't the most efficient way, I think, to check, but I think this is all right for now. So we're not gonna do too much here. After applying these changes, you should have this board component. And if you see here, the board, that function that we're doing should be outside of the class, right? Wait, what? You should have this board component. It's not even in this file, right? In this example right here. All right, look. Oh, sorry, I went the wrong way. Given an array of 9 squares, this function will check for a winner and return X, O, or null as appropriate. We will then call calculate winner in the board's render function to check if a player has won. If a player has won, we can display text such as winner X, winner O, or winner O. We'll replace the status declaration in the board's render function with this code. So what we're doing here is this render function in React, this is called multiple times. This is called like, I don't know exactly like how often it's called, like the actual number, but it's called multiple times. And if anything happens to the component, anything changes, the render function will re-render the component. So here we're just going to be constantly checking for a winner. After every move, we're going to check for a winner. I actually think there's a better place to put this, but we're going to just follow the tutorial for now. We're going to do const winner equals calculate winner, let status. And here, as it said before, it's going to return an X, an O, or a null. And here it returns a null if nobody has won yet. And here, if we do actually get a winner, meaning that X or an O is 3 in a row in any of these lines, that means that we're going to change the status to winner here. Else, we're going to just do this. And so we can just copy this right here. Wait, actually, oh no, we're going to copy it right here. And we're going to go to our status. I think that's in our game object, right? Oh wait, where's our status? Let me see, render, oh, yep, sorry, right here. Current player turn equals that. And instead of X is next, we've renamed this just to be a little more descriptive and straightforward. This one is player X turn. And it's just gonna say if whose players, we're keeping track of whose turn it is and flipping it every time we make a move, the player's turn is flipped. Yep. So now we can change the board's handle click function to return early by ignoring a click if someone has won the game or if a square is already filled. Okay, so here we can see if we actually do have a winner. And when you see just a function or a function call here, if it returns a Boolean, oftentimes you won't see if the result of this function equals true or equals false. This is a shorthand way of, if you have a Boolean function, you just call it and you see if it returns a value, it evaluates as true. And if it returns null, it evaluates as false. So that's why a lot of times you'll just see this instead of equals true or equals false. So we're just seeing if it calculates winner squares, or, this is the or clause, or operator. If this, or if there is a square, if there's a value at this square, we're not gonna return anything. We're gonna return out of this function. So returning here just ends this function, so we don't even get to this point. So that means that you can't put in a value at a square that's already filled. So I'm gonna just copy that here. And this is gonna go inside of our handle click function. Right? Yeah. Congrats, you have a working tic-tac-toe game and you just learned the basics of React 2, so you're probably the real winner here. So here, this auto reloads. I'm just gonna reload it anyway. So here, we're gonna do an X, and then O, and then hey, I wanna make a move at this place that already has an X, and my cursor is not responding. I can't put a move there. And I can do X, and then O, and then, oh, did I win the game, or did I? Oh, I think we're gonna draw here. Okay, so it says winner X. So yep, you got the game. I want to make these squares a bit bigger, so I'm gonna go to my CSS file where we have all the styling for the game, and I want to make this, actually, is it here? Yeah, I want to make the game a bit bigger. So I'm gonna do, so the width of the squares, I'm gonna make it like, let's see if I make it like 75 px, how that looks. Nice. I'm gonna do 100 and height 100. Make it actually easier to see for everyone. Yeah, you know what, let's make it a little bigger than that. 250. I've been meaning to do this for a few. Perfect. Next. Oh, but I want to make the font. I want to make the font of the symbols big as well. Yep, perfect. This is a tic-tac-toe game. Winner X. Nice. So that is pretty much the tic-tac-toe game. Like, we can add the time travel component here. That, like, it's not really like time travel, it's just saving the history of all of our moves so that you can go back in the game and then just see, like, hey, what, I'm not sure, like, we don't really have to do that though. Like, it is an interesting thing because it allows you to just learn more about state, and how React manages the state of the app that you're working in. And I think that could be cool to do, but I think like a much funner thing could be looking at how to do what's it called? How to make an AI component, like how to have a computer play this game. Six Studios said, if you use pixels, it's going to be stretched. You should be using either aspect ratio constraints or grid layouts. Just zoom out your screen with command plus minus to show you what I mean. So you mean like, I'm not sure what you mean. If you use pixel, oh, I see what you mean. Like to make it like more responsive and to scale with the page. Yeah, for sure. There can be a much better, like with styling. You usually don't want to use hard numbers. I agree, but just for the sake of this project, like like it's fine for this. Like this is just a smaller project, but for sure, like when you're styling something, you usually want to make sure that it renders how you expect it on different layouts. That's a good point. I think a good thing to do next is, yeah, this is basically it. So I chose this project just because like it was pretty small in scope. It'd be a nice introduction to like streaming on this channel, and also like it was just a smaller scope project that we could finish in a reasonable amount of time. I'm happy. I like doing these kinds of projects. Definitely, I think it's cool. I think it can be informative, even though sometimes I don't say the exact thing, or sometimes I don't say exactly what things are and stuff. And if it encourages you to like try to build your own stuff, then I think that I did my job here. J Prime said, "When is this?" Well, Six Studio said we have VW and VH. I'm not sure what that means. Is that view width and view height? J Prime says, "When is this going to be cross-platform?" Never. Tic-Tac-Toe? There probably is a Tic-Tac-Toe on PlayStation. Probably is. I don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much the game here. I think the next thing I kind of want to do is the AI component. So let's kind of see how this would work. I know like if you've tuned in various parts of this game, like you might not know exactly like how React may work or like what kind of progress I've made in the game to like understand what we're doing, because we're just kind of jumping in the middle of this, but it's whatever. So we're gonna put in an AI component. So how are we gonna do this? I think the best way is in our handle click function. Here, this is what we're checking. We're slicing out, we're taking this slice function returns a copy of the array. So we're just taking all of our squares, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna set squares.i, and handle click means wherever we click, whichever index of our board we're clicking on, we're gonna set it to this symbol. And then we're gonna set state to the new value here, meaning that this is basically just checking to see where we click, and it's setting the symbol to be where we click. Am I out of focus? Lit. I am not out of focus. So if we're gonna have some kind of AI component, it doesn't need to be that complicated. We just need to figure out where are we clicking, and we want the computer to move after we do. So a good way to do that would be right after this. We're gonna need to have computer move. Oh, yeah, actually, if we think about it like this, the player's turn is right here. Everything here. So we're gonna have our computer turn right after the player makes his or her move. Stick Studio says, don't use actual AI, use an algorithm like A-star. I want to use pathfinding as if you think about it, we're trying to find a path to block X or O. That's a great way like to think about it. Thank you for bringing that up. I think the best way is we're going to start off with our computer just making random moves wherever the board is not filled. The computer is going to move. And we're going to iterate from there. We're going to make it more complicated, because then we need to think about like what kind of game would be interesting. Because we're doing 3x3 tic-tac-toe, it's not going to be that complicated, because there's not that many moves that you can make in a 3x3 tic-tac-toe game. You can only go so far. If we were to extend this game to make it like 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, then we can get into some interesting little like thinking about how to really make a really competent AI. But that's interesting. We could do that. We can make like a computer that just wants to block the player from making any moves, or we could have a computer that's just trying to get 3 in a row. But for now, we're just gonna create. We're going to make the computer just put their move down any place that is free, and it actually shouldn't take that long. So we already have these squares slice here. So this is going to be another function, and it's going to be called computer move. And what this is going to be passed in, let's think about this for now. I'm going to do this.computer move, sorry, because this is a class. Your instance of a class is known as this. So you have to call this dot function that's here. Let's think about it. Computer move, what it's going to take in is going to be the same thing as this actually. Const.squares. We're going to take in a copy of our current board. Now what we're going to do here is, so since we're player X, this isn't a 2-player game anymore, we can just set this to X. Because, yeah, let's just make us player X right now. And then player X turn is true. So const squares equals this dot squares dot slice. So what we're gonna need to do is we're gonna have to set squares I to something. Oh, actually we should do this too. We're gonna check to see if the game is over, so we don't want our computer to move. Did I do that right? Oh, sorry, I have to, I think we can do it. Oh, you know what, let me stop cheating. Let me make this into a, we don't want our computer to move if we win. Oh, actually, this, yeah, yeah. And what we're gonna do here is we're gonna need to set squares index I to something. But where do we get I from? That's an interesting thing. We're gonna use something. Oh wait, Six Studio said derive the data we are setting for player 2, then just randomize that data type we are returning. Derive the data we are setting for player 2, and then randomize the data type. I'm not sure what. I think I know what you're getting at here, but I was just about to say we're going to get I by random, using the random function in JavaScript. I don't exactly remember it off the top of my head, so I'm going to Google it. Just like everything you don't know, just look it up. We're gonna need to choose a random number, and then we're gonna need to check if that number is a legal move. So math.random returns a random number between 0 exclusive and 1 exclusive. But we want to make it return a number between 0 and 8, because those all represent the different states of the game, or the different squares that you can select. So you use math random with math floor to return random integers. So returning a random integer from 1 to 9, from 0 to 9 is math.floor, math.random times 10. Well, we're going to make this times 9 because we wanted to return a random integer from 0 to 8. So we are going to copy, I was about to say steal, we're going to copy this, and we're going to just say var I equals math.floor, math.random times 10. And then we're going to set squares I to O, to O. You said, what I mean is like where we are setting the data, get that data, and then just randomize it. Multiply the value by your range, then floor it. Yep, exactly. This is what we're doing here. That's what, thanks Tic Studio. And we're just gonna copy the same thing right here. And player X turn equals not us. That means that it's not our turn anymore. And then we're gonna set it back to our turn. Right, and then, oh, actually this player turn doesn't really matter anymore because it's fine, but let's actually test this out here. It's gonna choose a random number, but before we do that, we are going to need to make sure that the square is empty now, but let's just see if by chance this works as, okay, so you see here, my This is a bug I didn't expect. It is choosing random numbers successfully, but we're not setting X, so I forgot to do something. X isn't being placed in the X isn't being placed on the board anymore. And this is because if calculate squares or squares dot I return and then we're setting squares equals to X. I'm trying to figure out what was wrong here. So it's not setting X anymore. This could be because it must be hitting this line here. You said check the output. Yeah, definitely. I think that is usually the best thing to do is to try to debug what we're returning. But I think something I like to do personally. You said, bruh, console. Yeah, I think that is a good way to solve problems is to print out the output. But a lot of times, me personally, I like to try to backtrack in my logic first. Like I know the, so the AI chooses a random space when you click it now. Yeah, that is what we expected, but now our player moves aren't working. I like to backtrack in the logic and see if I can sort of guess as to why it's going wrong. Because it kind of because there are sometimes you can't really print out the problem or you can't really see what's happening. So I like to just try to figure it out here and talk it out with you guys, the kind of things that we did so far. So if calculate when I think it's hitting this return statement, but I'm trying to figure out why it's kind of if squares A or squares dot I. Yeah, but if I can't figure it out, I'll just print the. So I'm clicking the squares, but it's not showing up. X isn't showing up at all anymore. I'm trying to remember what we. It's dot state player turn. It's dot state player turn is true. Check the thing where you said you can't place it on the same thing. Stick Studios said, check the thing. So yeah, we can't do it here. This is where if squares.I has a value, we can't return. Let me put a console log statement right here when we handle the click. And it's just gonna print out the value of our squares. And since this is an array, it should print out all the values in the. And to look at debug output, I believe you have to go to, where is it? The developer tab. It should be opening. Okay. And it should show up here when we make a move. Our console. So it's all null here. And now the last, oh wait, what? So 0 is X and 9 is O. I'm actually not, I'm mad confused because I thought 9 was supposed to be here, but I think it's all right. So our squared value is, our X's are showing up here. They're just not, wait, what? Okay, I think I see what's going on here. Maybe you're accidentally setting squares I to no when you override it to X. Yep, thanks. I think if I remember what I put here, I hate to go back. Let me just undo everything so I can remember exactly what we put here. So this dot player turn, if it's true. Okay, yeah. So when I erased this line, I forgot that if it's our turn, we're gonna set it to X. And if not, we're gonna set it to O. So what this handle click is doing here is seeing if it's our turn, even though it should still, no, wait. I don't know if that's the reason why this is failing, actually. Let me put everything back. But yeah, this is how I just be debugging. I just be trying different stuff out to see what works. So here, this, we can do, I think it's not getting rendered though, even though, what could be happening is that because we're doing we're altering the state twice, that could be affecting, because we're altering the state of our board right after each other. Like here for our player's turn, and right after we're doing the same thing. That could be causing an issue. This dot set state, doing the slices, and then if squares dot I return. And let me go back to the actual website. It said, ignoring a click if someone has won the game or if squares are already filled. Oh, wait a second. I think what's going on here is, dang, I'm not sure, but I think here, if we're setting squares to O, if it's the same as X, it might be overriding it somehow. So let me just take this off for now. Let me see if I can comment this out, and I'm going to see if our X's render again. But yeah, thanks everybody tuning into the stream. If you're new here, we just finished the main part of our Tic-Tac-Toe game, and I'm just debugging an additional step where we're trying to introduce an AI, a computer that moves while we play the game. So our X's are rendering again. Oh, but they don't render sometimes. Why would that be the case? Oh, because we won. It's because we won the game there. So when we win the game, we don't want any moves to happen anymore. So X, 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 yeah. And then once we win, it's over. So here, something's happening here that's affecting the game. It could be because overriding the squares that we put here is affecting whether or not we win. But it's weird that it's not showing up at all. Wait for it to reload. Oh, it is. Oh, but our O's. Oh, I didn't save. That's why. Let this reload. But yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. I'm hot, so I'm gonna turn my AC on. Hopefully it's not too high. Our X's don't render anymore, but they're still here. Cont squares. Oh, you know what we could do is instead of it could be because we're taking two copies of our array. We're taking two copies here, so we can just move this logic here that we're doing. Set X to square, and then try it like this. I hate to make this a little complicated, but let's see what happens if we just put it inside. And we're gonna call this var move. Let me call it C move. So we're gonna do it like that, like every time. And if we do that, we don't need the concept of a player turn anymore. We're just gonna have that. So right now, this computer isn't its own function anymore. It's part of X. Oh, okay. It's not happening like in unison anymore. I mean, it's not happening like one after the other, but X isn't showing up there. Okay, now I just overwrote one of the values, but yeah, it kind of worked. I'm trying to figure out why it didn't work before when it was separate. I don't I don't know, but it might have been because like with React, when you're setting the state like back and forth, sometimes if you set state like right after you set the state, it can cause some kind of issues with the timing of when things get rendered, and I think that might have been the thing. So you want to watch out for the way sometimes different things can be rendered, and we usually don't want to call set state too often in React. You kind of want to set it. You don't want to call this function here more than like a few times. You kind of want to just do it once in like one function. And here what I was doing is I was calling it twice, and one right after the other. So that could have been the reason why it did not work as we expected. So now what we're going to do is we're going to check cmove, and we want it to not be one of the squares here. And how are we going to do that? We want to make sure that we're not overwriting the value of our board whenever we move. So the best way to do that, so to reiterate, we're playing a tic-tac-toe game against the computer, and we want to be able to play against the computer by selecting squares. We both, the player and the computer, should only be selecting squares that aren't filled. And here our random function is just picking a random number 0 through 9, and that's not gonna work. Oh wait, actually, wait a second, this is supposed to be 0 through 8. Could that have been why it wasn't working? Oh snap, I didn't even realize. Yeah, this is supposed to be 0 through 8. I mean 0 through 9, so that it selects only. Let me make sure here. What did I just forget? Oh no, I'm dumb. Forget it now. Wait, no. It was 10 before, right? Yeah, it's not supposed to be 0 through 10. It's supposed to be. We want to return numbers from 0 to 9 because that's 9 values. So that actually could have been the error that was going on, because this is supposed to be 9. So just to check for sanity's sake, I'm gonna put everything back to where it was before, and I'm gonna, right? I'm gonna make this 0 through 9 and see if that changes anything. I doubt that was the reason why things weren't working. But we can still try. Oh, it was. Well, let me pick this one. Did we lose? Okay, so now our game is working. There's a bit of an issue here, or not a big issue, but like, oh, okay, see, I didn't get to select. It's not letting me select sometimes, or it's not letting me select at all now. Yeah, I'm trying to see what could be the issue here. But I'm X, and it's not letting me select values for X. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that. It could be that X is getting overwritten. Let's just check now. So how do we check to see if our board is empty? The easiest way to do that is to have the computer move first. If the computer moves first, then we can check that when we make our move, we can handle that just by checking to make sure that square's I isn't filled. And what I mean by that is here, I'm gonna take out this console log statement for now. We have our instance of the, oh I know, actually, the computer is going to move, so the thing is, we don't want to set state twice anymore. That's not, so actually, yeah, we're gonna end up deleting this. We don't want to have an instance of a state twice. So I'm gonna just delete this. Or I mean, by instance of a state, I mean, I don't want to call set state twice. So, what we could do actually is, sorry, bringing that function back. A lot of times I do go back and forth deciding between things and not like, and yeah, so this is why like sometimes when you're coding, like you do make a lot of forward progress, but sometimes you're just going back and forth and back and forth, and sometimes yeah, it gets kind of crazy. But this is really like a lot of times you're not always making forward progress. You're always trying to double check things. Instead of that, what we can do is in our computer move function, we can pass in squares, and we can pass in squares right here to our this dot computer move. We can pass in the squares array after we've already made our move here, and then here the computer will make a move based on the squares that are passed in. That way, what we can do is have the computer pick a random move and make their move based on how many squares are filled. And we can do that right here. So we can do something cool here is, you see how we have the I. Let me make this a const. No, we're gonna make this another variable. So we're gonna do while, we're gonna check if, what we're doing here is we need to, oh, someone said Glade. Hi Toby, I've never seen a live coding stream. I love it. I can't stay long, but I definitely wanted to stop by. Thanks for joining in. Thanks for joining the stream. Here we're just building a tic-tac-toe game, and we built the main game now, and we're just implementing an AI kind of feature where the computer makes moves after we do, because playing a two-player game by yourself is not it. But thank you for joining. I appreciate it. So we're gonna want to keep checking if a random number, if we land on a random number and it turns out that the square is filled already, we don't want to settle for that number. We don't want to overwrite the the value on the board. So we're gonna keep trying with this while loop. So we're gonna do while we're gonna do while math.random.floor. What's the best way to do this? While math.random.floor equals, no, okay, sorry. Sorry, I'm trying to think of the best way to do this while loop. So we're gonna do var I. We're gonna call var I right here, and we're gonna set I here equal to math.floor here, and then while we're gonna keep checking while squares I, which was selected with math.random, while we get a value that is equal to equal to squares I. Actually, we're just gonna do squares I, meaning that there is a value there, because when the tic-tac-toe board like starts initially, all the values are null. So here we're gonna see if squares I is gonna return true if there's an X or there's an O already there. So if that's the case, then we need to restart. We need to check. We need to randomize I again, and we're gonna just keep doing that until we find a value that isn't taken. So the issue with while loops are powerful because they allow you to continuously keep checking. Oh wait, Six Studio says, but then Toby, aren't you only updating it once then? Could you let me know what you mean by it? I think that might be a valid concern. I just don't know what you mean with it. But with while loops, you need to be careful because they allow you to continuously check and value and see if it's changed, but you need to make sure you don't run into infinite loops. So we're gonna need to come back to this and make sure that this doesn't keep entering this stage. So we're gonna need to make sure that either this line doesn't execute after a while, like we don't get to this point, or we find some way to stop the game before we just keep calling this random function. So This while loop will exit once squares.I equals no, or basically this means that once we have a value that I is. You're saying, aren't you only updating it once then? So you're talking about I. I think what you mean here is, because I'm only calling it here. So I'm calling it here initially to see if there's a move at that board. But it's gonna stop if there's a move to make, meaning that I is initially just gonna be a random number, and we're gonna validate it with this while loop to check that that random number is a legal move. And if it's not, we're gonna call it again, and then we're gonna check. And then the while loop is gonna repeat here, and it's gonna see if it's no. And if it's not a legal move, we're just gonna keep going until we find a space on the board that O can be in. And then this computer squares is going to return squares. We're gonna, once the computer makes its move, it's gonna send it back to the caller up here. We're gonna say squares equals this computer move squares. Can I do that? Oh, squares is a const. So what this means is we can update the value of the squares, but we can't actually set it. It's set to an array that we can change the indices and the values of, but we can't actually set the squares to be something else. So we need to find a different way to pass this value. What we can do is move, instead of returning it here, we can do this.computer move squares, and we can set the state of squares down here instead. We're not returning or not, we're only setting it once. And we're passing the reference here. We're passing the reference to the actual squares object here throughout this. Stick says you can't modify the value or the name after runtime. Oh wait, sorry. Oh wait, never mind. I just saw you redid it. I thought you just instanced it. You can't modify the value or the name after runtime. Yep, that's right. Let me move this down here. So if this works as we expect, the computer will make a move. So the thing is here, if this was working correctly, we don't really need to represent the player's turn in any way. I'm gonna keep it here for now, but if this works as expected, we don't need to keep track of the player's turn because the computer is only gonna move after every time we make a move. So hopefully this works as expected. It probably won't, but that's all right because we're learning as we go. And yeah, thank you all for joining in on this stream, and we're gonna see what's gonna happen here. So I'm gonna make a random move. I'm gonna select the right in the middle. Okay. Don't ignore this because this is keeping track of the player's turn, which we're not exactly doing anymore with the computer. The computer chose the upper right. So here I'm gonna do this. Computer chose that. I don't want you to win. Oh, I could win here, but I want to keep the game going. Yeah. So you see here, this is working as expected, but like let's even go a step further here. We're gonna print out the moves. We're gonna do. I want to see exactly what's going on. So we're gonna print out where the computer is making moves, and we're gonna make sure that our randomization logic is working as expected. So we're gonna console.log computer tried to move to do some concatenation. Try to move to I. But it was taken. Sorry, this doesn't need to be a long sentence, but I just want you to really like display like what is going on here, like how our randomization function is gonna keep checking to see if we can make these moves. Glade said, I told my sister to check you out so that she can see what coding is like. I appreciate that. Hopefully she gets any kind of valuable information or something from watching me. She's gonna think it's for nerds, LOL. I mean, computer science at this point, it's for any kind of person. Like, Yeah, like there is that kind of like idea that people that do coding or software engineering just stay inside all day and just be tapping away at the keyboard. You can hear my keyboard. It is very loud though. But like at this point, like there's so many different types of personalities that I've met that do code that are in the tech industry in general. And you can be an extrovert, you can be any kind of personality really if you just have just a passion or just like working with computers, typing stuff away, looking at screens. That can be on any kind of personality at this point. He said, "What a weeb." Oh wait, Glade said nerds are in. She likes cosplay and anime. That's funny because I do like I do watch a fair bit of anime, so I guess I am kind of in that kind of personality little thing. So okay, so here I'm gonna make a random move here. So that means we didn't see anything in a console log. That means that the first move that the computer tried to make was legal. So there was no reason to print anything. Then we're going to do X here, and then we're going to do X here. So just by chance, we're not... Oh, we win if we do this. Why is it not rendering, though? It doesn't... It's not letting me pick the actual square if it's a win condition. So I should see what happened. Because that happened the previous time, too. Handle click. Let's check in our calculate win function. So it's saying if that, wait, did it say winner? It didn't. Calculate winner squares. So it's calculating the winner here before we return. And then we set squares I to X. I'm trying to see where this is happening. That it's, let me see the behavior again, because it's not letting us actually select the Stick Studio said, "What a weave." Blade said, "We stand the anime queen." Of course. So do X, X, X. Wait, what? Oh, okay. So look, computer tried to move to 0, but it was taken. Computer tried to move to 6, but it was taken. So we see here that our while loop is executing as expected. And I'm gonna try again because I want to try to get 3 in a row. X, X. Yeah, for some reason it's not letting us. It's not letting us make a winning move. So I have to see here. The only thinking about like how our code operates, the only time our code wouldn't be running or our X wouldn't be rendering on the board is here with this function. So something's happening here where if square is I, return. So it's not registering the click, but it'll let me move here. So I'm trying to see where this could be happening. I am the Rosie Pie says, "I am the queen. I see you summon me. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining." Are you Blade's sister? That'd be cool. Okay, I'm trying to see why this part isn't rendering. If calculate squares winner. Okay, so what we can do is just console log the value of calculate winner, and we're gonna just do it as winner. We're gonna see here if that could be affecting. So at every move, what I did here is I'm checking to see if at every move if we have a winner in our game. Oh wait, what? Oh, sorry, I just gave it the function. It should be calculate winner squares. Just so we can see at every point if we have a winner decided. Rosie Pie says yes, LOL. Oh, that's dope. Thanks for checking out my stream. I appreciate it. And Glade said finally took you long enough. Thanks for joining. So here I make an X. The winner is null as expected. Wait, this should be. Oh yeah. This is null because our function here calculates squares, returns either x if x wins, o if o wins, or just null because it's just returning um, either these, whether this is x or o, and null if otherwise. So winner is null, winner is null, winner is null, and winner here should be x. But you see here, it's calling this function again because we're just returning. We're actually not leaving this. So it's not return. It's not letting us see. So I'm gonna, instead of putting it here, I'm gonna put the console log inside here, just so we can see if this is where it's stopping. So we're gonna console log not only the winner, but we're gonna console log squares.i. I'm sure this is some small bug. Hopefully it's not like we have to make a huge change, but I'm just trying to see where the code is causing the game to not let us get 3 in a row. X here, X here. See, I'm competitive. I don't want them to win, so I'm just gonna put that. Okay, it's actually not returning anything. Okay, this is weird. Oh wait, so O wins. I just lost. Low key, like just putting it as like random moves, like that is enough of a strategy. I think just due to the fact that it's a 3x3 board and there's limited amounts of moves, anything the computer is doing or anything the other player is doing is going to likely get in your way. Even if they're just randomly picking random values. Just there's only 9 moves you can make, and just with us making 2 moves now, there's 7 moves left. Like having the computer just randomly select things is almost as good as an actual game. So I can't select X here. There's nothing coming up in our console log. It's just not letting me select X. So what could be happening here? If you guys have any ideas, feel free to let me know. But thank you all for joining the stream. If you're just here, if you just got here, we're playing, or no, we're not playing. We just created an instance of a Tic-Tac-Toe game. In the last time I streamed, we made the Tic-Tac-Toe game work so that if you have 2 players, you can just each select X's and O. But we want to take it up a notch. So we're now implementing an AI component where the computer selects squares randomly. But we're only selecting squares that the player hasn't picked. And right now, everything is working as expected, except there is this one small bug where the app isn't letting us select anything that will give us 3 in a row. And I'm trying to figure out where that could be. It's not here, so where else? It's saying return, and then, oh, wait a second, could it be squares not fill? No, I'm trying to figure out, like, why would it happen? Six Studio says, I'm playing Battlefield, don't ask me. Head empty, I'm dehydrated, Glade says. I think I'm gonna figure, So, as someone suggested before, Six Studios, like, console.logging, a lot of your output usually can help you to figure out what is being returned from where. Okay, let's try to backtrack our steps. We created this computer move function that if we win, if squares, calculate winner squares, return something, then we're done, like the game is finished. Six Studio says, check the thing where you put the X. Maybe you made the limit too small. The X? I'm not sure what you mean. Check the thing where you put the X. Are you talking about computer move? Maybe the program is rebelling because it doesn't want the humans to win. I hope not. That would suck. Because right now, like, I don't know, maybe I'm just bad at Tic-Tac-Toe. A lot of these matches that I'm showing as an example, like, I have to focus to make sure that the computer doesn't win by accident. And it's funny because in this thing, the computer is able to win, but we're not able to. Like, it's not letting me select. Stick Studio said Tic-Tac-Toe become human. Yo, so this is a small aside. I just watched someone do a playthrough of that game. That's Detroit, right? Detroit Become Human. I love player based, or I love decision based games, and that like was amazing. Like that game was crazy. Six Studio says I'm talking about you as the player placing it down. Maybe you made the limit too small. What do you mean about the limit, Stick Studios? When you put it down, so we take a copy of the array, and we calculate the winner or the squares, and if either of these are true, or either of these return something that's not null, we are going to not make a move. But otherwise, it should make a move though. Maybe I would think like. Yeah, I'm trying to see. You should check out Erica then. Is Erica another is that another decision based game? That'd be lit. You like your list. Are you talking about the list of moves that we can make? Because we can select anything, all these squares here are selectable. They all have this on-click function. So every square here that is rendered is clickable. Like we can make a move there. It's just when it's 3 in a row is when it acts up. I'm trying to see. I need to. Yeah, I'm not sure. Dang, too bad. If it wasn't for this, like we'd be pretty much done. We'd be on to actually giving this an AI. Print out something on your player move thingy to see if it's a render thingy. Great suggestion. That's exactly what we're gonna do. Let's do like we did before. We're just gonna print out the value of our board. We're just gonna do that every time, and maybe we'll get something from there. Stick Studio says, are you adding ATA to the list? Wait, Glade says, is it something to do with victory list? Maybe it might be that you need to set it back to the default value. Okay, so let me check with victory list. That's a good point, because I did rename it. Maybe, so calculate winner. Victory lines. These are all the different things that if we get in a row, these are all the win conditions that are possible in this game. And every time we make a move, we're going to check to see if we do have a winner. Since we pretty much copy this from the website, I doubt this is wrong. The only thing I did was rename the variables, but if you see here, victory lines, victory lines, victory lines, the renaming doesn't seem to have affected. So I think this function is fine just because we got it from the tutorial. You might need to set it back to the default value. Sorry, I misspelled it. I'm gonna check what you mean by that. But first, we're gonna see the instance of the board. So right now, there's an X here in 0 spot, and there's an O in the 3 spot. That's good. And then here, X in 0 and 5, and O in 0 and in 3 and 6. Let's actually try to win. Computer tried to move to 8, but it was taken. And we have these filled out, and I'm gonna try to make a move. Oh, so it does register here. Huh. That's weird. So here, this is the 3 spot. Oh, this is the 2 spot. And 2, 5, and X. Oh, wait a second. So, wait a second. I think I have an idea here. I'm gonna look at the chat real quick. Oops, yeah, victory lines. Yep. Rosie Pie says, I see coding is just fighting with a virtual toddler as you try to tell it what to do. I have a comment about that. Glade says, yes, learning. So the first time I learned coding, I went to this boot camp. I talk about this in one of my videos on my channel. I didn't go to a boot camp. I did this summer coding intensive in the summer between my junior and my junior and senior year of high school. And the way it was described to us, this is with no background at all to coding. It was kind of like our instructor gave us an exercise where they were like, all right, I'm going to pretend I'm a computer and I'm going to sit down in this chair. I want you guys to find a way to make me walk or to make me stand up. And we're like, oh, just get up. And he was like, oh, how do you do that? We were like, just push off the chair and stand on your feet. And they're like, how do I move my legs? And we were like, oh, you have to like press down with your foot and then rotate your hips. Basically, what he was telling us is a lot of times computers are really just blank instruction receivers. Like you have to literally tell the computer exactly what to do. And that was a side story I just thought of. Like that really is computers become software engineering, and just coding. You have to say exactly what you have to do. And yeah, it was frustrating, but it was fun. Stick Studio says you should check out W3 schools if you want to learn beginner-friendly coding such as front-end development or no JavaScript servers, Rosie Pie. Yeah, thanks for the suggestion. This is where I got the random function documentation from. Definitely, I recommend just looking up these kinds of websites because they break down functions and they tell you like where you'd use it and give you examples of how to use it. But also the React, where we're doing this tutorial, the React.js website is great for just learning about how to use it to build websites because it's built from the assumption that you have no coding experience at all. So it's applicable to beginners all the way to like people that have had experience with coding and just want to use React.js. Raccoon said, stand up. Are you coding, son? How you doing? Thanks for joining the screen. It was frustrating. Like, it was really frustrating trying to like explain or trying to like get someone like, hey, all you have to do is stand up. Like, just move your, and then you think about it, you're like, dang, wait a second. How do you tell someone how to stand up? Like a lot of things that we assume are really simple because we do it all the time. You have to figure out, like, a computer doesn't really know anything by itself. You have to feed it instructions, feed it information to get it to do things. All right, back to the code. Here, all this talking, I almost forgot what exactly I figured out or what we were supposed to figure out here. So I'm guessing here, when we make the move, I don't think it did register a win here, but it didn't render on the page. And that might be because that might be happening because when we do computer move, oh wait, we're checking here. It didn't render on the page, but it did register our move. That's what's weird about it. Yeah, that's the weird thing. I'm gonna do it again. I'm gonna run it again. The raccoon says, oh, Glade says, that's a really fun exercise to learn with. Yeah, I think it's great because it really just gets your mind thinking about it. It was very frustrating at the time just because we were like, wait a second, how exactly do you tell someone how to stand up? But I think it is a great exercise because it just opens your mind, or it gets you kind of thinking kind of like an engineer, kind of like, wait, there is a task or some kind of end result we want to do, and we have to figure out a way to explain it to a computer to accomplish that task. You have to break down your instructions into actions that you can perform easily, and that's basically lines of code. Like, lines of code are each in and of itself like a small part, a small step in the task. Let me make sure my camera is good. Okay. So we're gonna try to win again. You see here, the board is rendering. This is one of the win conditions. You see how we have index 0, index 3, and index 6. If we go to our victory lines, 0, 3, 6 is a win condition. So what's happening here is we did win, but it's not rendering on the board. It's not rendering here, even though it is saying that we did place the square there. So handle click. We're doing this. We're doing squares I. Oh, sorry, there's more. Raccoon said, I'm starting the program out of my school bounds. I'm learning SQL. SQL's cool. I actually learning SQL right with you. In my job, I use a lot of Python and SQL for where I work now. And I didn't really have that much hands-on experience with SQL, so it's cool. Like you learn about databases, you get to learn how to work with data in general. SQLite with Python, yeah. Python is definitely Dope. And SQLite is a great library because you can like use that for like small projects because SQLite is just a small version or smaller. Wait, you know what? I'm summarizing things that I shouldn't because that could be incorrect. But SQLite is like is definitely cool to do. Six Studio says, "What are you using for the database? Do you know any cloud services that are free at the Raccoon?" So, I made this one app. It was kind of like an anonymous. This might be another video in the future or a story time about it. But I made this kind of like anonymous social networking app, and for that I used something called M Labs. It was one of the. It was a website that was. It's similar to MongoDB. It's one of the services that they offered. I don't know if it exists anymore, but MLab like gave you like 2 gigabytes I think of storage for free. Like if you use like the free tier, and you can also use Heroku too if you want to like for storage. A lot of websites like Heroku, maybe not a lot, but Heroku is known for just allowing like if you have like a small pet project that isn't going to have like more than like maybe 1,000, 2,000 users, then that's a great place to host information. For my app that I did a video about, that I've done many videos about, like the app revenue videos, for storage for that, actually there is really not much storage anymore because, sorry, I am getting off on a tangent here, but I don't have any user accounts or anything that like saves data anywhere, so there's no need to do that. But I used to, but I just store all the information in your phone now, so it's a lot better in terms of like you don't need an internet connection to use the phone anymore, except if you're trying to watch my ads on my apps. Raccoon said I don't. I'm using memory. Six Video says okay. Raccoon says the thing I hate that a program might be so different from language to language. Like in Python, it's print hello world, but in C++, you have to include IOStream and have an int main and an out. Yeah. That's why Python and JavaScript too are known as like very nice beginner-friendly languages because there's not that much boilerplate to actually like get stuff done. But those languages at the same time, if you can learn them, you can also do really powerful stuff like C++. If you're good at like memory management and just understanding how pointers work, you can do some really powerful things with those kinds of languages that are a lot more like verbose, I guess. All right, let me get back to this. Let me try to figure out what's going on here. It looks like our move is actually getting executed here. But what's happening is, okay. I see what's going on here. We're not setting the state until we finish the computer move. We're not setting the state here. So that means that our X isn't actually rendering. Our X is showing up because we're not actually okay, sorry. So when we render the board here, our board is rendered here, and we keep track of the state of our board with this state variable here. The thing is though, is if we only set the state right here currently at the end of the computer's turn. However, because we're only setting at the end of the computer's turn, we're not seeing if we win or not until we get there. So we have to find a way to change the state of the board. We can do it here again. It's just kind of messy, like it's not as clean, but we can set the state here because we want the board to change. Because we want to see when we get that 3 in a row. Oh, this chat is so active. It's hard to like read all this. Okay, Python is one of the most dumbed down languages in my opinion. So I wouldn't say that exactly, because just because the language is beginner, like it reads closer to English than anything like Java or C++, I wouldn't say it's dumbed down or it's an easy language to learn. I think it's a lot more approachable. But with every language, so many languages, Python and JavaScript have been used to do amazing, powerful things. PHP is a language that a lot of people say that they dislike and isn't a very good language, but people build Facebook. Facebook was built with PHP. Python has been used, is used heavily in places like Google, Uber, my company. Like there's a bunch of like websites. I mean, a bunch of companies that do amazing things with any kind of language. And yes, some languages can be easier to use and easier to understand for beginners, but wow, you can do amazing things with languages. Any language. It's more about the mentality and how you approach the code and how you write elegant code, I guess. Man, Raccoon says, man, I don't know if that happened to you as well, but when I'm seeing huge tier programs like yours, for example, I'm starting to lose it and feeling like I don't know anything. Are you talking about my program? This is just Tic-Tac-Toe. I know what you mean, though. Like, I think I know what you mean. There is a lot going on here for a relatively simple game. And trust me, I feel the exact same way sometimes when I look at projects that are massive. And it's like, wow, like, where do you even start? But definitely, and this might be cliche, but you really do get better with this if you just practice and you just get more experience with code every single day. The more time you spend getting acquainted and just being more familiar with different code and different kinds of like data structures and information, like it really does get better. It gets a little easier every day. I'm here kind of getting lost, and I've been working or I've been familiar with coding for years now, and I still get stuck on stuff. So we all go through it, and it's really fine. Like, as long as you're optimistic and you just keep trying to learn. I'm just trying to get a 3 in a row. Lit. We win. So the game is working now. Stick Studio says, yeah, LOL. That's why I use namespace and libraries. Rosie Pie says, I feel like everyone gets discouraged when there are bumps in a project, but just keep going, because if you don't challenge yourself, you won't get better. Keep going, dude. Thank you, Rosie Pie. Exactly what I was trying to get at. We really don't get better unless we just keep pushing ourselves. Like, if there's something we understand well, like, try to keep pushing yourself. Like, keep going further and keep trying to get more acquainted with things that you're not used to. Thanks, Rosie Pie. It's also always okay to take a breather and come back to the problem after a refresher. You're just speaking facts right now. Like, sometimes I really won't get something. Like, this was a problem that we did manage to solve. We managed to fix this bug. It wasn't rendering. The X wasn't rendering. But now, like, sometimes, especially at work, sometimes there'll be problems that I just don't know how to solve. And one, it's never bad to ask for help. Like, you should never be afraid or discouraged or feel embarrassed by asking for help, because we all get stuck. And two, it's perfectly all right to just leave your desk, leave whatever you're doing, and just get some water, get some drink, play some 2K, some Fortnite. I mean, not all the time, but just take a break and to just really, like, step back from it all, and then you'll come back with a new perspective. That's mine. That's a Tobi the Great tidbit. Glade said you solved it. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. But talking with you guys and trying out different things definitely helped. So I want to say we solved it. So thank you all. Raccoon said Python. Haha. Semicolon goes burr of existence. Yeah. So the funny thing in Python is that semicolons are allowed, and you can put semicolons in your code. They just aren't interpreted as anything, to my understanding. Hopefully I'm not lying again. It's the same with JavaScript too. I'm pretty sure if I just have no semicolon here, like, you don't need semicolons in these languages. Or I think maybe in JSX, like, they should still work just as fine. I don't know if in all like editions of JavaScript, yeah. So you see the app is running just fine. I don't know if that's the case in all versions of JavaScript, but like for JSX, which is the version of JavaScript that works with React, you don't need semicolons. I like semicolons. Nice to know when code ends or not. Stick Studio said, my mama said practice makes perfect. I love it. Yeah, practice. I don't know if we'll ever get perfect with anything. Even veterans, experts, 20, 30 plus years of any kind of thing. Like, you can always keep growing and keep learning new things. But I don't want to call your mama wrong. But yeah, practice definitely gets us better. What do you Stick Studios, Rosie Pie said, your mom is right. Your mom is right. Stick Studios says, what do you do, Toby, if nobody knows and you've been debugging it? If I think what you is your question like what like do you do like how do you solve a problem if you have no idea what to do and you've been like debugging it and banging your head against the wall for hours? I have been in that spot so many times, like working on pet projects. The first project that I like really worked on, like I was working on this app that I talked about in one of my videos about my first iOS app, and it was basically an Uber clone. And while I'm trying to build this app, I'm also learning about coding and learning how to code in the iOS language, which was Swift at the time. And it was it was almost impossible. Like there were so many nights that I spent up just looking at tutorials, watching different like video guides of how to work with iOS and Swift, and I got discouraged. I gave up on the app so many times, but eventually you'll always find, if you don't find a solution to the problem, you'll find a workaround to it. And I really mean that. I know I'm only talking from my perspective, so sometimes there are problems that we can't really find easy solutions for, but like if you really don't give up and you keep pushing, you will find like the best way to tackle the problem eventually. It's all about perseverance and not giving up. Next thing. Python and JS. Oh wait, you said same thing with JavaScript ESX. Yeah, with the semicolons. Yeah, you don't need semicolons for Python. I mean, you can have them, but you don't need them. Python and JS. Raccoon says Python and JS are pretty forgiving languages, unlike C++, which if you don't have a semicolon, you get an error. Yes, if you don't have a lot, like C++ is. The C and C++, like they tend to be like some of the tougher languages to get into. I remember in my freshman year of college, in my data structure and algorithms class, the language that we learned for I think 80% of the semester, for most of the semester we used C++, and that was not fun. The first project was creating a calculator in C++. Like you had to create all the different functions that pass in the symbols and the numbers, and it either does all the operations. Like it was not fun doing that in C++. Then we had to make a GUI, like a graphical user interface using C. Like it was not fun. I bombed that class. But yeah, it was not it. Glade said, I went from C++ to Python for some classes, and Python telling me my semicolon was wrong, unbuttered my biscuit. Wait, Python telling me my semicolon was wrong? I'm pretty sure Python just ignores it. Like, let's test it right here. I'm gonna open a quick terminal window. So here I can just do, you can run a Python interpreter by just using Python at your terminal if you have Python installed. And if I do int I, oh no, there is no int. So if you say I equals 4, it sets it to 4 when you check I. But I think you can do I equals 5 parentheses, and you still get 5. So this is like interpreter which reads as Python and executes Python code. So that is weird that it did that. It was like PyLab. I don't know. But I mean, you really don't want to use semicolons just because it's not part of the language construct. Like it's not going to interpret it. You can use it, but like you probably shouldn't, just because like it's expected that you don't use it. Stick Studio says yes. Roses are red, violets are blue. Unexpected bracket on line 42. I love it. Yeah. If any programming languages that use I think you can use brackets too in Python, but yeah, with brackets you need to make sure that you have an opening bracket and a closed bracket whenever you create them. You really don't want to just create them separately. A lot of code editors will automatically have the brackets created in pairs. Like here, if I just want to make a bracket, I just press the opening bracket and it made 2. And parentheses the same way, because you really shouldn't be using one separately for any reason. Okay, now I want to get back to the thing, but yeah, thank you all for the chat. See, the problem with me streaming is I like interacting with you guys, so I'll just spend all the stream reacting to the chat and forgetting that we just built a whole game with the AI component, which is dope. So let me go back to this for now, but thank you all for being active in the chat. So I'm not sure where we can move from here. We have a tic-tac-toe game, we have an AI component. What we can do is, the tough thing though is we can try to improve the AI, but there's just not much you can do here when there's only 9 moves you can make at the start, and it just rapidly decreases from there. Like tic-tac-toe is a fun game, like I guess like playing with friends, even though like there is this thing like there's this saying, or not a saying really, but like the idea like if you have 2 good players or players that know what they're doing, every game will always end in a draw. So it's not like this version of tic-tac-toe has a lot of strategy. What we could do though, if you all are interested, is we can either keep improving on this game in the future, like in future streams. We can actually like try to find a different version of a tic-tac-toe game that like is more competitive, because there's something called ultimate tic-tac-toe. I don't know what it is, but like it sounds cool and it sounds a lot more like interesting. We can make a version of that, or we can just literally just increase the rows and columns of this game, like make it 6x6. That actually would be the easiest thing we could do right now. We are gonna need to change the logic of the victory lines and stuff. I mean, and 6x6 is a lot harder to win, because what are the chances that you're gonna get 6 in a row? Yeah, I'm not sure, but I'm happy to do. And because the way we've designed this game with our components, everything, this is pretty scalable. And scalable in the sense that we can extend this game and grow it out, and we have the core logic of deciding between moves that we only need to change a few different variables. So it's not going to be as intensive of a process as starting from scratch. We just need to change a few variables. But I'm going to answer some stuff in the chat. Creating a calculator is easy, but when I see if I have PTSD from Yonde Simulator. yeah. That's funny. The whole if statement thing is a really funny thing. Someone asked in a comment a few days ago if I would react to his code. I know he does live streams. I don't know if he does them now. I've never seen one live, but I know on Twitch, I think, I saw somewhere that every weekday he streams progress of the game, or just streams playing other games. So maybe that could be cool. If you all are interested in something like that, I'm happy to review it. The thing is though, like I'm not an expert on coding. Like I'm only a little more than a month into my software engineering journey. So like I'm a new grad developer who makes mistakes all the time. So I don't know if I'd be the best perspective to review that video, honestly. But if you all are interested, I can try to give a fair and unbiased review of that code. I think it could be fun. It could be dope. Maybe I'll do it on stream, or I'll do it on a video. Raccoon says, in Terminator, you can't... Oh, I keep doing that with my camera. In Terminator, you can't use while and def. Not sure about it. Oh, you mean in the terminal? The Raccoon, do you mean the terminal? Stick Studio says, making a website so I can play it. I can't make it a website for now because that'll take a lot of work. But what I can do is we're going to push this up to GitHub. So if you'd like to sort of take this project and do stuff with it, I can show you the process of how that's going to look. So let's go to my GitHub. Let me open it here in case I accidentally put my password out there. I don't want that to happen. Like last time when someone took my Discord API key because I just accidentally I uploaded it to GitHub, and then they just messed with my Discord bot. But that's for another video. I'm just gonna open my GitHub here, and I can show you guys how you can play this game yourselves, or play the current version of this game. See here, we last worked on it 7 days ago. So if you'd like to work on this, what you do here, oh, whoa, they changed the GitHub layout. Looks cool. You go to code, and what you're gonna do here is you can either clone it by copying it, and then you're gonna do what's called a git pull from the, oh, actually, no. What you're gonna do here is you're gonna do, you would do, let me close this. Rosie Pie, wait, let me actually do this first. So let's say you wanna put it in, let me CD out of here, CD out of here. I'm just gonna clone it again. So let's say, hey, I wanna work on Tobi the Great's thing. I wanna work on this Tic-Tac-Toe React project. Maybe I wanna add a different feature, or I just wanna play it for myself. You're gonna do what's called a git clone. If you have git on your machine, most of them have, Linux machines, your computer should have git installed. If not, you can look online how to install it, but most of them have them installed by default. So I'm gonna copy this link here and you git clone my repository, and it's gonna go on the website and it's gonna actually get the repository down. It's taking some time because my computer is running a whole lot of stuff right now. So you do that, and then it should create, clear, and then you can just CD into Tic-Tac-Toe React, and then you have the actual project. And this Git is really cool. Like, I brought up Git, I think 2 streams ago. It's a great way, it's a versioning control system, which is essentially a way for you to work on your project and collaborate with others in a way that it's hard. I mean, in general, like with projects, you can just save them to your computer, and I guess that could be enough. But if you want to work on it with other people, and you want to work on it at the same time without having conflicting changes or without waiting for someone else to work on it, you use Git. Git allows you to sort of save different states of your project. So if something goes wrong, you can just go back to a previous version where everything was working right. And also, you and your partner can work on different things by making what's called different branches of your code, which is you take out a copy, you work on some code, and then you push it back to what's called the master branch. Funny enough, I think GitHub is changing the idea of master branches because of everything going on, and they're calling it, I don't know what they're calling it, but I think the master branch isn't happening anymore. Rosie Pie said, Khan Academy also has free programming course. IDK how good they are though. You know, Khan Academy, I heard it's really great. I never really used it directly for something except linear algebra. I did not understand matrices. Like in class, I did not know what was going on in linear algebra. So Khan Academy had some really great examples. I like Khan Academy because they have really cool drawings, and I think I am maybe more of a visual learner. Like it's pretty descriptive. It's cool. I never really used it that much though, so I can't really give personal recommendations. Stick Studio says, I think his problem is he instances too many NPCs at once and has no LOD system rather than if else if. I'm not sure what LOD is. Stick Studio says, yes, you can with GitHub Pages. Oh, you're right. You're right. I don't think I really use GitHub Pages. I know like it's a way to like, it's a free like GitHub Pages is a website where you can host your GitHub projects for free if they have like a front-facing thing. Yeah, I could do that. Glade says, I need to learn how to use Git. I wanted to back up my Unity projects but didn't get too far. I definitely Stick Studio says, just use GitHub Desktop. I made a tutorial on my channel how to do this on my video on how to make video games for beginners at Glade. Great. Thank you for being helpful, Stick Studios, for sure. Also, Tobi, you fork it and then pull request it. Good point. Yeah, good point. If you want to well, forking it will. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, yeah, if you want to work on this repository, you need to like fork it to your own personal. Um, I'm trying to see where you could do that. You know, nowadays I work more with Git than GitHub. So I know, I'm trying to remember how GitHub works. Because GitHub it's weird because GitHub and Git are related, but they also are completely different things. So I'm trying to remember, how do you fork a branch? So here, this is the master branch. But yeah, I'll look into that later. Maybe I'll do that. Glade said, thank you, I'll check that out. Six Studio said, Toby, you know GitHub Desktop is basically Git but more user friendly. Yeah, I agree. When I first was working with GitHub, I was working, I think I was first learning GitHub and I didn't know how to use it. But GitHub Desktop, I downloaded it and it's a lot more like visual and interactive, I remember. It lets you just click like buttons if you want to clone something or copy it or make a pull request. And you don't have to type out the commands. But I think it is useful to learn how to do it yourself, just to like not have to depend on it. Oh, Glade, you're heading out. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you and Rosie Pie for checking out the stream. I appreciate it. Oh, is my camera off? Oh no, my camera turned on. I didn't even know. Oh, snap. Sorry, y'all. Hold on one second. I am going to... So we kind of got the game done at this point. What we have here is an AI component. Let me go back to this page. I didn't even realize my camera froze. We've gotten to a point with our Tic-Tac-Toe game where we have a computer moving and we can move as well. And we have the win condition set. And I think this is a good time to stop at this point, like maybe with this project in general. But like, I definitely like to know like if you guys enjoyed this project, if you want to see a different one, if you like these types of streams where we just go over a project and I show you the ropes through all the like different kinds of roadblocks we could go through and building something together. I had fun with it. So let me know, like, do you like these kinds of streams? And in general, if you like this type of content, would you like to see me continue to work on this Tic-Tac-Toe project or move on to something entirely different? I think what we could do is, wait, hold on one second. Sorry, I'm back. I think what we could do is we could like make a different version of a Tic-Tac-Toe game. Now that we have the base logic, we could actually make this like a fun kind of like Tic-Tac-Toe game. So if you guys have any ideas, actually, let me actually see what I was talking about. I saw somewhere online, like there's an ultimate version of Tic-Tac-Toe. Oh, Tic-Tac-Toe Java. Let's look at this one, GitHub project. There are two players. Player 1 represented by X, player 2 represented by O. The ultimate Tic-Tac-Toe game is a game made up of 9 small... Oh, wait a second. Oh, I did hear about this from somewhere. It's like you play multiple versions of Tic-Tac-Toe, like while at the same time. Whoa, that's actually kind of cool. Wait, hold on, that's kind of lit. Wait, hold on. To make one mark on the large Tic-Tac-Toe board, you will need to win at a small game of Tic-Tac-Toe. I think I've seen this somewhere where you have 9 simultaneous or multiple boards at the same time, and you can make a move on any board at any time. Oh, snap. Wait, hold on. This actually might be the move. I think we might need to do this. Because I think I played this once. Oh, wow. Wow. Sorry, I'm nerding out. Like, this is so dope to me. Like, I think this is something that we can definitely try to do. I'm gonna put my camera back on as soon as my camera charges up a bit. Um, but here, you have 9 different games, and if you win one of the games, you get an X or an O. Wait, oh snap! Wait, we actually might do this. So to do this now, the concept we're gonna need to add a few. We might need to add more components. What we're definitely gonna need to do is add a different component that keeps track of the entire board of the game, because now we have different boards. So we can it'd be something like, let me actually set it up right now. Wait, that's actually dope though. Wow, that's kind of cool. So we call it big board. And again, because we're working on things in terms of different components, we actually are good with all the logic here is still true. So we don't need to change anything about any of our functions, for now at least. But our big board is now going to keep track of all of our boards. Wait, this could actually be dope. Oh, snap. It'd be a longer game, of course, but and also, we will need to change the logic of our computer making random moves. Now we're making moves to not only encounter individual boards, but now like we're gonna need it. The range of moves that you can make is now extended to from 9 to how many moves can you make at the start? There's now, this is I never can map. This is 9 times 9, so you can make 81 moves in total. Wow, this is lit though. This is gonna be a lot more in scope, so I think it's fair to just stop the progress on the Tic-Tac-Toe game for now. But if you guys are interested in doing something like that, possibly, I think that could be really cool. So let me go back to small project. Oh, you guys are looking at my desktop. So I'm just gonna git commit -m, and we're gonna add the message add AI to game. Oh, forgot to add what we worked on. So we're gonna add all of these. We're gonna add all of these to our git commit so that we can send it up and git add. Git commit -m, add AI to game, and git push master. Thank you all for tuning in. If you did tune into this stream, and then here I'm just gonna make sure that our Tic-Tac-Toe game has been updated on the GitHub. It should be, yep, 18 seconds ago. I think this is a good place to stop, unless there's any other kind of questions or comments y'all want to make. But again, thank you all for tuning in. Oh, yep, it's 4 o'clock. I think 2 hours streaming is good. It's a good length because I was streaming for way too long last time. Thank you all for joining in, as always, and for real, as always, like, let me actually just show you guys, like, it's amazing how we've gotten in what feels like such a short amount of time, 2,000 plus people pressing the subscribe button. Like, that's really dope. Like, I really appreciate everyone that checks out the content, that views the video, that comments, positive or negative. I enjoy all types of criticism because it makes my content better. Like, it makes me really think about making the kind of videos that everybody likes to watch. And I think I'm slowly improving in this whole streaming and just content creation kind of thing. And I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So once again, thank you all for watching, and liking the stream helps a lot. Sharing it with your friends or whatever. Join the Discord, and you can follow me at IamTobiTheGreat.com. I mean, not .com. You can follow me at IamTobiTheGreat on Twitter and Instagram. And if you look at the description, you'll see all my information to join the Discord and my Twitter and my Instagram. So, thank you all, and I'm going to head out. Hopefully everybody has a nice day and you stay safe. Peace.